The wind howled through the trees. The banana leaves on the small hut trembled as if sensing an approaching storm. Pao stood in front of the hut, his eyes red with rage. Without thinking, he grabbed the tarp and yanked it hard. The hut collapsed with the sound of tearing fabric and breaking bamboo. The moment she saw the scene before her, she froze. The bundle of firewood slipped from her shoulder, the logs rolling to the ground. Her heart tightened. Linda rushed forward, gripping the torn tarp with trembling hands. She wanted to hold onto something, anything, but Pao was too strong. The hut, the only place she could call home, was now nothing more than ruins. Pao stood there, panting, then turned to look at Linda. He waited for her to beg. But Linda remained silent, her eyes empty. He scoffed. If she refused to go back with him, he would make sure she had nowhere to stay. The car stopped in front of the shelter. Jack stepped out, his eyes quickly scanning the scene before him. The torn tarp flapped in the wind. On the ground, the knife and pot he had left behind were still there, but Linda was nowhere to be seen. Jack crouched down, his fingers unconsciously touching the knife. He frowned. Something had happened. Linda sat in Puey's old house, her eyes empty. She had been dragged back here, but this was no longer her home. The once familiar house now felt foreign. Every space seemed to close in on her, making even each breath feel suffocating. Waiting for a moment when Pao wasn't paying attention, Linda fled. She couldn't stay here for another second. Her footsteps echoed on the dry ground. But just as she reached the main road, Pow noticed. He grabbed a wooden stick, his eyes darkening as he saw Linda trying to escape. Linda turned and ran. Pow's shadow loomed close behind, his heavy footsteps pounding against the road. Linda's breathing was rapid. She ran with all her strength, but she could feel his shadow closing in. Behind her, a motorbike sped toward them. Jack had come to rescue her from him. In the distance, Pow was still running toward them. The engine roared, and Jack hit the gas, speeding away. Sitting in the passenger seat, Linda clutched his sleeve tightly. Her breathing was still unsteady, but for the first time, after days of fear, she felt safe. The car stopped in front of a small house in a quiet alley. The warm yellow light spilling from the window created a sense of safety in the dark night. Jack nodded, as if telling her she could trust him. Mrs. Han, a kind-hearted woman, opened the door. She looked at Jack, then at Linda. Without asking much, she simply smiled and gently said, "Come inside, dear, it's late." Linda felt the warmth in every word. She stepped inside, and for the first time, after days of wandering, she had a place to rest. Jack stood there for a moment, then silently turned away. He said nothing, but his eyes carried a hint of contemplation as he left. Linda watched his figure disappear into the night. Deep inside, something within her stirred. Linda sat by the wooden table, holding a cup of hot tea. The warmth spread through her hands, but her heart had yet to find peace. Across from her, Mrs. Hand sat with kind eyes. She didn't ask right away, just waited. The patience of someone who had seen life. Linda took a deep breath. Then slowly, she began to speak. No tears, no complaints, just quiet words, heavy with pain. Linda looked at her, and for the first time, felt a true warmth. That night, she lay down on the bed, closed her eyes, and no longer felt lost. End of episode 6. What will happen next? Will Pow give up, or will he continue searching for Linda? Will Jack return, or will he keep his distance? What will Linda do to stand on her own feet? Stay tuned for 7sode, a new journey.